NYT frantically tries shifting blame after their collusion on fake dossier, explodes. New York Times frantically tries shifting blame after their collusion on fake dossier, explodes. For nearly a year, the liberal media has repeatedly reported that the salacious and still unverified claims put forward in the Trump-Russia dossier alleged collusion between the campaign of then-candidate Donald Trump and the Russian government based on a then FBI, now special counsel investigation of the evidence contained therein. However, over that same period, evidence has increasingly emerged which showed the dossier is little more than partisan propaganda, compiled by Democrat-aligned political operatives at Fusion GPS, with help from ex-British spy Christopher Steele, and funded by the campaign of failed candidate Hillary Clinton and the Democrat National Committee, to be used as an insurance policy by partisan members of the FBI and Department of Justice in case Trump won the election. With the narrative of the Trump collusion investigation being based upon the dossier rapidly crumbling, enter the New York Times with a brand new narrative to justify their continued and unproven assertions that President Trump colluded with the Russians, this time via a marginal campaign volunteer named George Papadopoulos. Our readers may recall that we only first learned of Papadopoulos via the special counsel investigation of Robert Mueller in October, when he pleaded guilty to the process crime of lying to the FBI. That piece from the Times, using the typical unnamed sources, alleged that Papadopoulos had gotten drunk at a London bar in May 2016 and spilled the beans to an Australian diplomat named Alexander Downer about a supposed offer from Russia to provide dirt on Clinton to the Trump campaign. Now, the purported drunken ramblings of a peripheral and short-term campaign volunteer are being held up as the driving force behind the FBI investigation into alleged collusion between Trump and Russia, which is said to have begun in July 2016. But National Review's Andrew McCarthy isn't buying this new narrative from the Times one bit, and in a lengthy and detailed timeline of publicly known information, he exposed just how much the Times was attempting to move the goalposts and shift their own narrative to keep their anti-Trump accusations alive, and on the front page. McCarthy noted that it was the Times themselves, back in April 2017, who proclaimed that the FBI investigation into alleged collusion had been sparked by a June 2016 trip to Moscow and meeting with Kremlin officials by Trump campaign foreign policy advisor Carter Page. The American people were told for months thereafter that Page's trip to Moscow, as outlined in the dossier, was evidence of collusion and resulted in the FBI obtaining a FISA warrant to conduct surveillance on the Trump campaign. But now that the dossier, which was also likely used as the basis for the FISA warrant, has become even more discredited than it initially was, the Times wants us to forget their prior reporting about Page and the dossier and look in an entirely different direction toward Papadopoulos' supposed drunken tell-all to a foreign official. Odds are, if the unverified dossier was used by the FBI to obtain the FISA warrant to spy on the Trump campaign, there could be some serious trouble coming down the pike for the agents involved. So too for the careers and reputations of the journalists and outlets who perpetuated the unproven tales that fed this ridiculous story for a year. Thus, we see an apparently desperate New York Times attempting to shift attention away from their collusion in reporting the false contents of the dossier and Carter Page toward Papadopoulos, as if the American people are too stupid to see exactly what they are doing. This new version of a liberal media Russian reset, placing Papadopoulos as the central figure in the Trump-Russia collusion investigation, simply isn't going to fly. As has become increasingly clear, there is no evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia, and the whole narrative of such pressed by the left was nothing more than an attempt to sabotage Trump's candidacy and undermine his presidency.